We're not just here for ourselves.
You know now, to end police brutality.
A new community and...
Not only to end SARS or SWAT, they use when they say may they end this background.
WADR 94.9 FM. Promoting the culture of West Africa to the world. To the world. West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
At 6:03 a.m. from our studios here, live from West Africa Democracy Radio, Dakar, Senegal. Welcome to the live coverage of the 2023 presidential runoff elections in Liberia. We are also live on Voice of Liberia FM 104.1 in Monrovia, Voice of Liberia FM 89.7 in Kakata, and Voice of Liberia FM 90.7 in Bangabong County. In the course of this program, we'll be bringing you live events as it happens in the runoff elections there in Liberia. I am Imo Edet. Well, you can say that it's finally here upon us as Liberians will vote today, Tuesday, in the runoff election between the incumbent President George Weah and former Vice President Joseph Boakai after a fiercely fought first round in which neither was able to score over 50% of the vote to secure an outright victory. Well, football icon Weah 57 led the first round in October, gaining 43.83% of the vote, and Boakai had 43.44%. Well, Boakai 78 is a political veteran who from 2006 to 2018 was deputy to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Africa's first selected female head of state. Well, analysts say the thin margin of vote between them, just 7,126 votes out of almost 2 million votes, and the absence of a strong third candidate means the round will also be very competitive. Well, this 2023 election has been a rematch of the vote in 2017 when President George Weah won with over 61%. Now, this is the country's fourth post-war presidential election, but the first one without the presence of the United Nations mission, which previously provided support to the country's elections commission. Now, some voters have been disenchanted with President Weah's performance, particularly on corruption, high rate of youth unemployment, food inflation, and general economic hardship. He fired his chief of staff and two other senior officials after the United States imposed sanctions on them for corruption. Well, the ruling party supporters say a new law in July 2022 granting the Anti-Corruption Commission prosecutorial power is evidence of the administration's fight against corruption. However, opponents point out that two of the officials sanctioned by the U.S. in 2022 ran for parliamentary seats on the platform of the ruling party. President Weah has blamed the coronavirus pandemic and the consequences of the Russia-Ukraine war for failure to deliver on economic targets, and the removal of fuel subsidy on rice, a major staple food in the country, led to a subsequent increase in its price and opposition-led protests in December 2022. But even before then, a 2019 wage harmonization exercise reduced the salaries of government employees. All right, for many political watchers in the sub-region, Liberia's 10th October election marked a significant milestone for the fledgling democracy. Now, they were the first general elections managed entirely, like I mentioned, by the government since the end of the civil war in 2003. External actors managed various aspects of previous posts, notably the United Nations mission in Liberia, which provided security in all post-war general elections except the most recent one. Now, the polls elected a president, 15 senators, and 73 members of the House of Representatives, and were seen as a public verdict on the management of the economy and fight against corruption. Now, of the 20 presidential candidates, Joseph Boakai of the main opposition Unity Party UP and incumbent President George Weah of the Congress for Democratic Change CDC were the front runners. Now, before we look at some of the challenges, let's take the profile of some of our candidates for today's runoff. Now, a former vice president and presidential candidate of the opposition Unity Party, Joseph Nyuma Boakai, was second runner in the first round of the ballot on October 10, maintaining a close margin with the incumbent. Boakai built his career in the civil service, then later joined politics. The politician and humanitarian has reigned in Liberia's governance space for nearly 4 decades. He was vice president to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who was not only Liberia's first, but Africa's first female president. Born on November 30, 1944 in Wasonga, Lofa County, Joseph Boakai is now 78 and is contesting for the number 1 office at the executive mansion for a second time after narrowly losing to now incumbent George Weah in 2017. The ace politician held several positions in previous administrations, during which he was praised for innovative and impactful policies. Boakai began his early days as a janitor to pay for his studies, a determination that paid occasion by his poor background. He enrolled at and graduated from the College of West Africa, CWA, one of Liberia's prestigious secondary schools, working in the business office selling books and uniforms. Joe Boakai later graduated from the University of Liberia with a bachelor's degree in business administration, as well as from the Kansas State University in the United States. Well, Joe was later recruited by the Liberia Produce Marketing Corporation LPMC and assigned to head its branch in Vonjama, Lofa County. There, he introduced many reforms and innovations and empowered cocoa, coffee, and oil palm farmers by improving their incomes. The presidential candidate served his country as managing director of the Liberia Petroleum Refinery Company in 1992 and as Minister of Agriculture from 1983 to 1985. He also chaired for 1 year a 50-nation West African Rice Development Association, WADR, and toured research project WADR in Sierra Leone, Cote d'Ivoire, and Guinea-Bissau. He also taught several agricultural projects in Denmark, Belgium, Great Britain, Malaysia, and Cote d'Ivoire in connection with poultry, cattle grazing, rubber, and oil palm production and processing, and assisted in the first PL 480 program evaluations for Liberia. Well, as a result of his vast knowledge in social sciences, he offered short-term consultancy to some institutions, including serving as Chief Technical Advisor on Agriculture Policy's Ministry of Agriculture. Well, here is Buakai during the weekend as he rounded off his campaign activities.
This country has gone through a lot. For most of you, you have come to believe that the life you live now are normal. They are not normal. Everybody here deserves better. I want to say to Africa today, maybe for some of you, you don't know, to make such a decision, there are a lot of things that go behind the scenes. They have bigger pockets that want to take you over. There are people who will threaten you, but African has shown us that he's a great Liberian, he's a nationalist, one who prefers his country above material things. And that's what brings a lot of respect for him. We want to say to you who accept the honor, I want to say to you, you are the people for to bring country to another level. Our country needs people of integrity. They need people who love humanity. People who must know that houses having food, electricity and water is not the most important thing. Leadership is about making other people eyes realize the potential that God put in them.
All right, you heard there Joseph Yuma Buakai, the presidential candidate for the Unity Party, and he's up against incumbent President George Weah, who is the presidential flag bearer of the ruling Congress for Democratic Change, CDC. Well, Weah is the country's 24th president since its independence, seeking a re-election in today's ballot and remains a primary contender for the nation's top job. He was born on October 1, 1966, on the Capitol bypass in Monrovia, Montserrado County. He holds ancestry to the Kru and the Bassa ethnic groups. Well, now 56, George Weah is one of the 13 siblings in his family, and his husband to Claire Mary, who he married in 1992. Spotlighting his educational background, Weah holds a master's degree in public administration and a bachelor's degree in business administration from DeVry University in Miami, United States of America. He began his early childhood education at the Daniel E. Howard and C.W. Bromskeen Elementary Schools and later attended G.W. Gibson and Ellen Mills Scarborough for his junior high education. The Liberian leader has 3 honorary doctorate degrees of humane letters in recognition of his accomplishments and contributions in many fields, including humanity, sports, peace building, and education. Well, President Weah, before his time in the presidency, was known across the world for his adorable soccer exploit, which he began as a goalkeeper, in young Brazil. He may have excelled in sports, but his administration has been marred by allegations of corruption, poor governance, bad economic policies, rights violations, and growing unemployment. Weah denies these claims, stating that his government, more than any other in Liberia's history, has done remarkably well to transform the people's lives. He based his re-election ambition on the mantra of finishing the good work he started after declaring his candidacy 8 months ago.
To me, this represents a vote of confidence in our shared vision for Liberia's future. The runoff election on November 14, 2023 is a crucial moment for our nation. Your endorsement represents a vote for continuity and stability. They signify your approval of our policies that aim to bring progress and prosperity to Liberia. As we move forward, rest assured that I am committed to accelerating the implementation of existing programs and introducing new initiatives to justify your trust. We have made strides in education, healthcare, infrastructure, and the economy. But there is more to be done. Let us unite and cast our votes for number 2. Vote for progress, peace, and prosperity. Together, we can shape a brighter future for Liberia, a place where the dreams and aspirations of our people becomes a reality. On November 14, let us stand together for a better future, a stronger Liberia, and a nation that strives. Thank you for your unwavering support. May God bless you, and may God bless Liberia.
Indeed, God bless Liberia. There, President George Weah running off his campaign. Well, he's of the Congress for Democratic Change. If you're just joining us, this is the live coverage of the 2023 presidential runoff elections in Liberia. And we're coming to you live on West Africa Democracy Radio, 94.9 FM Dakar. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at WADR News. You're also listening to us live on Voice of Liberia FM 104.1 in Monrovia, Voice of Liberia FM 89.7 in Kakata, and Voice of Liberia FM 90.7 Bangabong County. It's 6:47 a.m. from our studios here. Well, let's also bring you voices of Liberians about their expectations as millions once again go to the poll for the second and perhaps final round to decide who between incumbent President George Weah and opposition leader Joseph Boakai will lead the country for the next 5 years. Recall campaigns ended on Sunday. Well, let's take the expectations of some Liberians.
The National Election Commission, the only thing they mean that they need security because they will work to be front brother. They will work. So they need security because the things that we're hearing right now is very bad. So all they need to work the Bureau Police Center to be fair. That's all. Anybody win, the citizen win, they take it. You know, anybody win, they take it.
My expectation is to go from the first general election that was conducted. That is the first round before the runoff, and people turned out and they voted. Everything went peaceful. So my expectation there will be a peaceful election. And I'm asking also that the government should make sure and put measures into place that people will go and vote peacefully and that they should be protected also.
Do you believe the turnout will be huge like October 10th?
Of course, those that want President Weah to be president, they will come out to vote. Those that want Joseph Boakai to be president, they will come out. So therefore, there will be a huge turnout.
What I'm not voting for, because nothing will not benefit me, so we're going to vote for anybody back. Me, from my own estimation, my own experience, nothing I benefit when they come in. Nothing I will see that what they're doing for the country here, so I'm not voting.
So on October 10 you voted? On October 10, the first round you voted?
I voted the first round.
Okay, so why now you want to vote the second round?
Well, the second round, I see nothing good going on. We don't want no fouling, we don't want no fighting, we don't want to do nothing. We want our country to go on straight. That's all we want.
Oh, I'm feeling very firm. I'll be going to the Bible tomorrow to tell I'm full for the rightful president of my country. And I pray that everything will be fruitful as a fair round. But as the election commission to be free and fair with the judgment tomorrow, all the people watchers should be given the same respect from both sides, EACC or United Party. That all people have their will according to right thing.
To the police station there, I want the disabled people, the people that can see, the old man there, if someone carry them to go and vote, they should allow the person to carry the old man to go and vote. They might not say all the old man have that, because some of the people they don't know how to mark. And you the one will carry them, they have to do it for them. But some of the people they say no, you might not carry the old person self will go and we not want it like that. That when the poor boy will do invalid vote. So that when somebody follow behind them and mark for them, they will still get a little person at work. And then you will mark it for them. So that what we want the disabled people, the old people, meaning the old people, they should allow people to go with them, to go and mark for them. Then that's how we point their hand and they know the people then. So we want for somebody to go with them. If somebody don't go with them, invalid vote will be plenty.
For me, I want for the election to be free and fair, free and calm, no riot, but go to the ballot, because our patient, our man, with our rebel leaders. I will feel that we vote the country. truthful and calm in the election. It must be fair and fair in the process. That no cheating. Anybody win, you win. The only thing I gotta say to the people of Liberia, if truthful Liberians like your country and get your country at heart.
And the voices of some Liberians there speaking on the expectations and perhaps the turnout. Well, you heard them there talking about the challenges of the first round election. Well, now, despite that being widely acclaimed by the international community, that first round of voting recorded some irregularities, leading to the arrests of 9 people for election fraud. This resulted in a dispute between the National Elections Commission (NEC) and the opposition, with 3 opposition parties calling for a forensic examination of used and unused ballot papers. Well, given the high stakes, the need for transparency in the runoff is greater now than ever. Rivalry remains intense between the frontrunners, with both parties holding nothing back in their quest for victory. Well, during the first round, when the NEC had released results for only 16 of 5,890 polling stations, the UP and the ruling CDC began asserting their claims to victory. All right, let's cross over now and hear from the CSOs what they make out of this. Well, political observers and key players are joining our broadcast for live update about this voting process that opens in the next 1 hour thereabout across Liberia, and expressing the need for a peaceful election and strongly advocating that this must be adhered to. Now, NGO CSOs and former government officials have in their ways contributed to this orientation cycle, no doubt. What drives them is the decades of uninterrupted peace, which was attained after 2 deadly civil wars. Hundreds of thousands of people, including women and children, were killed during the conflict. Well, as Augustine Coley reports, Liberians have asked that peace, security, law and order be maintained at all costs.
Liberians are returning to the polls to vote in the presidential runoff election. The runoff was determined by the failure of 20 presidential candidates obtaining 50 plus 1% of the votes in the October 10 general elections as required by the 1986 Constitution of Liberia. Several national and international observers, including civil societies, have been working on the deployment of staff at various polling centers designated by Liberia's National Elections Commission. Augustine Tama is the head of Liberia Elections Observation Network. He explains the preparedness of the network for the runoff.
All of our 904 short-term observers have signed up and agreed that they are going to be showing up tomorrow. As you may know, that in the first round of the elections, we deployed a methodology through which we observe using our sample-based observation. That methodology still continued. In addition to the 904 short-term observers, we had 53 field coordinators and 73 long-term observers, but eventually on tomorrow, there will be our supervisors.
Promoting a peaceful electoral environment and community security is the hallmark of some eminent women who have organized the Women's Situation Room in Liberia. The women are potential ladies who earlier served top government positions such as former Chief Justice, Foreign Affairs Minister, and city mayors, among other positions.
We always have keynotes turning over. We always have a problem with the water. You can't get the ballot papers there. The election workers are carrying ballot boxes in their head with water up past their chest. All of these things causing irregularities during elections.
I'm concerned that all of the challenges that NEC experienced in the first round, we hope that they will take steps to correct those things. Because if they have not taken any corrective measures, we might, see the CP not happy during the first round.
There are a lot of complaints about the magistrate. In some cases, there were no chairs for our observers to sit down. They stood up the whole day. In some cases, they wouldn't allow them to go and eat. They say the magistrates wouldn't let them out of the building to go and come back.
I also think NEC should take into consideration this long-term one. And this is the inconveniences caused by rainwater during election period. This is not the first time the Women's Situation Room has brought this to next attention. We did this in 2017. We need a referendum.
From Monrovia, Liberia, Augustine Bill Cully.
Well, that was Augustine Cully there reporting and telling us expectations also of the CSOs and the role that they are playing in ensuring a peaceful conduct of the runoff this Tuesday, the 14th of November 2023. All right, we will take a pause at this point to bring you our first major news bulletin and news link at the top of the hour. And immediately after that, we will continue with the live coverage of the elections, bringing you reports, interviews, and waiting patiently for the voting to commence at 8 o'clock. Still listening to West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar. We'll be back for the news. Please stay with us.
Let's go. This is your radio.
Broadcasting live from the Senegalese capital of Dakar.
Broadcasting all day, every day, from the heart and capital
city of Senegal.
24 hours, 7 days a week, all year round. On 94.9 FM. This is West Africa Democracy Radio Dakar. We got you covered. We got you covered on all fronts. News, programs, special shows, and lots of all new music. From Dakar to Benin, from Nigeria to Ghana, Conakry, Bissau, Niger, Togo, Côte d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Mali, Mauritania, Ouagadougou, Cape Verde to the Gambia. This is your radio. This is your voice.
Your voice.
This is West Africa Democracy Radio. And we are on air.
We're on air.
West Africa Democracy Radio, 94.9 FM Dakar. It's you speaking. Promoting the culture of West Africa to the world. To the world. West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
For news across the region.
Just support the idea that a few countries should come together, perhaps with the aid of a colonial master. And
it is quite disappointing, extremely sad for all the victims of Yahya Jammeh.
Urge the government of Sierra Leone to immediately release
major developments across your country.
About 1,000 supporters. Orientation
Congress of Women's Hands of the legislature demanding the prosecution.
If former President Yahya Jammeh ever comes back to this country, he will face immediate arrest and charges of the most serious.
Join us at 7 a.m., 12 noon, 6 p.m., and 10 p.m. daily for Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio
94.9 FM.
Dakar, Senegal.
However, if they do it disproportionately, they will protest.
It's you speaking.
WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's 7 o'clock in Dakar, 8 o'clock in Abuja. Good morning and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink, and here are the top stories. Liberia set for a presidential runoff election between incumbent Ware and opposition leader Bouakai today.
Electoral materials have been deployed to all 19 magisterial areas in the 15 counties of Liberia.
Unknown gunmen killed at least 70 civilians, including the elderly and children, in northern Burkina Faso. And Niger's military government secures a $28 million from Saudi Kingdom to boost education system. Stay with us for details of these stories and more.
Here is Imo Edit with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us and a warm welcome to our listeners in Liberia, the Gambia and Ghana. Our top story takes us to Liberia, where all is set for the much-anticipated runoff presidential election today. The contest is between the incumbent President George Weah and opposition leader Joseph Boakai. This runoff became necessary as none of the 20 presidential candidates in the October 10 polls secured the constitutional threshold of 50% plus one vote to win on the first ballot. WADR's Ellington Papa in Monrovia brings us the report.
During a news conference on Monday, the chairperson of the commission, David Etta Brown-Lassana, announced that ballot papers and essential election materials have been deployed across the country with robust security measures in place ahead of today's poll. She also mentioned that the commission has intensified the voter education awareness campaigns nationwide to minimize the number of invalid votes.
Electoral materials have been deployed to all 19 magisterial areas in the 15 counties of Liberia. Electoral supervisors and polling staff have begun the deployment of electoral materials to the 5,890 polling places within the 2,080 precincts in preparation for the conduct of the polls from 8 in the morning to 6 p.m. on Tuesday, 14 November 2023.
In a separate statement, Philip Nushen, the head of the Lutheran Church in Liberia Trauma Healing and Reconciliation Program, appealed to political actors to contribute to maintaining the country's peace, emphasizing that there will be only one winner in today's runoff election.
Call on all stakeholders, including the National Elections Commission of Liberia, our national and international partners, most importantly, the Liberian people, to do everything and anything possible in order to keep Liberia peaceful. To the National Elections Commission, you have learned a lot of lessons from previous elections, including the 10th October polls. We are concerned about the huge invalid votes from the 10th October polls.
Both sides have advised their supporters to stay at polling centers after casting their votes to protect the integrity of the electoral process. However, concerns have been raised that this could potentially lead to conflicts. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I'm Darlington Pogba in Monrovia.
In Côte d'Ivoire, a political movement named Committed to the Republic has unveiled an action plan for the re-election of Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara in 2025. The initiative aims to mobilize the youth affiliated with the ruling party and involves a budget of 160 million CFA francs. Despite being 2 years away from completing his third term in office, President Alassane Ouattara has not yet officially declared his candidacy for re-election. Well, for this development, Ogibirika provides details in this report by WDL's Abidjan correspondent Albain Ade.
According to the organizers, the objective of the 3-year action plan spanning from 2024 to 2026 and requiring an investment of nearly 160 million euros is to secure a resounding victory for Alassane Ouattara in the Ivorian presidential elections scheduled for 2025. Celestine Kuala, representing RHDP Executive Secretary Cisse Bakonga, called on young people to prepare for the upcoming elections. The action plan encompasses various activities, including awareness raising and training initiatives for all young members of RHDP. Abraham Sanogo, the president of the think tank Engage Pro La Republic, EPR, emphasized the high stakes involved, especially with the presidential election just 24 months away in October 2025. Sanogo stressed the importance of planning over time for effective monitoring, evaluation, and potential corrections in project implementation. The think tank committed to the Republic serves as a collaborative platform for RHDP executives from both the public and private sectors, united in their goal to support the actions of President Alassane Ouattara. It's worth noting that in October 2025, Ivorians are scheduled to participate in the presidential election to elect the new president of the Republic.
That report was filed in by our Abidjan correspondent Albin Ade and voiced by Ogilby Erika. Now, at least 70 civilians, predominantly elderly individuals and children, lost their lives in an attack on the village of Zaongo in northern Burkina Faso earlier this month. According to a statement from the Burkinabe public prosecutor on Monday, unidentified assailants targeted the village in the country's northern center-north region on November 5, carrying out the assault by killing residents and setting properties on fire. Abdullah Hassan provides more details in this report by WADR's Ouagadougou correspondent Martin Kaba.
According to a press release from the Burkinabe prosecutor attached to the Tribunal of Instance in Kaya, the tragic event occurred on November 5 in the village of Zaongo, situated in the commune of Boala. Although alerted 2 days later, it wasn't until November 11 that a team was dispatched to the scene to conduct the necessary investigations. The preliminary results of these observations revealed that approximately 70 people, primarily children and elderly individuals, both men and women, had been killed. Additionally, several homes were reported as either burnt down or partially destroyed during the incident. Simon Ganu, the official from the Prosecutor Office of Faso, mentioned that ongoing hearings are being conducted to ascertain the precise number of casualties, including the dead, wounded, and missing individuals. Efforts, he said, are underway to identify those responsible for this tragic massacre. The press release dated November 13 did not provide specific details on the motives behind the killings. In a statement issued a day earlier, the European Union (EU) expressed concern about the incident, urging the Burkinabe authorities to address the massacre. The EU estimated the death toll at nearly 100 civilians, including women and children, and called on the Burkinabe government to thoroughly investigate the circumstances surrounding the massacre and identify those responsible. As of the release date, the Burkinabe Transitional Authority had not publicly commented on the issue.
That was a report filed by our Ouagadougou correspondent Martin Kaba and voiced by Abdullah Hassan. Meanwhile, Ghana's National Security Minister Albert Kan Dapa has urged members of parliament to exercise caution when discussing military brutalities in the Upper East regional towns of Garu, Tempene and Bugri. The minister emphasized the need for circumspection, citing various reasons, including the ongoing counter-terrorism operations in the area. This call was made during his appearance before the House to brief members on the brutalities that occurred last month. WADR's Accra correspondent Nad Edetete reports.
During a briefing to Parliament on the reported brutalities in Garu, Timpani and Bugri that resulted in one fatality and numerous injuries, Ghana's National Security Minister Albert Kan Dapa restated the narrative that national security operatives were attacked in their enclave, justifying the subsequent operation. The minister refrained from commenting on military excesses, citing ongoing legal proceedings, and urged caution in discussions due to ongoing operations in the region.
I would like to urge honorable members of the House to please exercise circumspection in discussing the matter because of the dire security situation we are confronted with in Boko as a result of the existing ethnic conflict in that area. Second, because of counter-terrorism operations going on in the area.
MP for Garu, Albert Alazuga Akuka, questioned the minister's account, asking why the alleged national security operatives involved were unknown to government officials in the region. He reiterated his call for a parliamentary probe.
People of Garu and Tempani and Bugri, we are heartbroken, and we call on the minister, we call on Parliament to launch a full-scale investigation into this, a probe, and let the facts be known to Ghanaians. Because this military approach of always beating people mercilessly is one too many in the country.
After the proceedings, MP for Zebila, Kleto Savoka, expressed disappointment with the minister's briefing.
The minister did not show any remorse at all. He did not even condemn it, even though he said that they had gone into excesses. If your people go into excesses, why don't you condemn it? He didn't even talk about compensation. He didn't even talk about bringing anybody to book. I think that there are more questions than answers in this matter, and we are going to prosecute this matter to the fullest end.
On October 29, military personnel raided the three Upper East regional towns of Garu, Tempane, and Bugri, launching an attack on residents in retaliation for an alleged assault on national security personnel by some Garu residents. For West Africa Democracy Radio, Nadedi Tete, Accra.
Well, let's cross over now to Niger, where the military government has received a substantial sum of $28 million from the Saudi Kingdom to enhance its education system. The funds were handed over on the spot to Niger's Prime Minister Mohammed Lamin Zain at the conclusion of the Saudi Arabia-Africa Summit in Riyadh. Prime Minister Zain engaged in numerous discussions with Saudi authorities to reinforce cooperation between Riyadh and Niamey. Stakeholders in Niger's education sector expressed hope that these funds will significantly contribute to improving the country's struggling education system. Sang Donald Mendy has more details in this report by WADR's Niamey correspondent Mutala Zubeiru.
The announcement of funds received by Niger from Saudi Arabia has garnered praise from stakeholders in the education sector. Kalilu Kelesi, a member of the General Teachers Association of Niger, expressed optimism about the timing, emphasizing the potential positive impact of these funds. Kelesi hopes that the funds will address issues such as the unsafe practice of constructing classrooms where unfortunate incidents like fires have resulted in the loss of lives among learners. Despite the economic challenges stemming from sanctions imposed by UEMOA and ECOWAS, he remains confident that these funds will be effectively directed towards the education sector. The announcement comes following the Saudi Arabia-Africa Summit in Riyadh, where Niamey's military leaders expressed their commitment to strengthening cooperation with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This financial support is anticipated to make a meaningful contribution to improving education infrastructure and addressing safety concerns in Niger.
That was Sang Donald Mendy in that report there filed in by WDR's Niamey correspondent Murtala Zubeiru. Well, a coalition of governments, including Ghana, Moldova, Sweden, Denmark, Estonia, and France, has expressed their support for the International Fund for Public Interest Media, IFPIM. In a ceremony at the Paris Peace Forum, they approved the statutes that protect IFPIM's mission and independence. Additionally, they formally appointed the Board of Independent Experts. As Sankule Janko reports, representatives cited the urgency of IFPIM's mission to tackle the structural challenges faced by independent journalism in low and middle-income countries, aiming to pave the way for long-term financial resilience.
In the lead-up to the ceremony, Ghana's Minister for Information, Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, announced the country's support for International Fund for Public Interest Media. During the ceremony, he stated, "I'm happy to announce here today that the Republic of Ghana has entered a partnership with the International Fund for Public Interest Media." Nicu Popescu, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and European Integration of the Republic of Moldova, emphasized the importance of the global coalition backing the International Fund. Ms. Shersula Zakarapoulou, Minister of State for Development, Francophonie and International Partnership, signed the statutes on behalf of the French government. She highlighted the crucial role of independent media in sound democracies, particularly in times of post-truth public debate and disinformation operations. Other notable figures present at the ceremony included Stefan Löfven, co-chair of the UN Secretary-General's High-Level Advisory Board on Effective Multilateralism, and former Prime Minister of Sweden, Nanjala Nyabola, a noted journalist and founder of the Kiswahili Digital Rights Project, and Julie Possetti, Deputy Vice President for Global Research at the International Center for Journalists.
Sankle Janko reporting there. And we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink from West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. But before we go, here is a reminder of our top stories. All is set for a presidential runoff election in Liberia between incumbent Ware and opposition leader Boakai today. Unknown gunmen killed at least 70 civilians, including elderly and children, in northern Burkina Faso. And Niger's military government secures $28 million from Saudi Kingdom to boost education system. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Christian McCready for the technical assistance. Well, let's continue the conversation on our social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and Facebook, West Africa Democracy Radio English Service. Stay with us as our live coverage of the presidential runoff election in Liberia continues. I am Imo Edat.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, New Me FM 94.0, and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County. For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.
Whichever West African country you are from, on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar.
We turn on the power in your radio.
I love it. We bring current news from your country to you here in Senegal, in French and English. We got you covered because we are La Voix d'Afrique, the African voice. 94.9 FM Dakar. We are West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Let's go. This is your radio.
Broadcasting live from the Senegalese capital of Dakar.
Broadcasting all day, every day, from the heart and capital
city of Senegal.
24 hours, 7 days a week, all year round. On 94.9 FM, this is West Africa Democracy Radio Dakar. We got you covered. We got you covered on all fronts. News, programs, special shows, and lots of all new music. From Dakar to Benin, from Nigeria to Ghana, Conakry, Bissau, Niger, Togo, Côte d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Mali, Mauritania, Ouagadougou, Cape Verde to the Gambia. This is your radio. This is your voice.
Your voice.
This is West Africa Democracy Radio. And we are on air. We're on air. West Africa Democracy Radio, 94.9 FM Dakar. It's you speaking. Broadcasting live. Broadcasting live. 24 hours. 7 days a week. West Africa Democracy Radio. We inspire, we engage, and bring the people's voices across West Africa to every part of the world.
We're not just here for ourselves. Now to end police brutality.
A new community, and
not only to end SARS or SWAT. We are using the same to end this back
WADR 94.9 FM.
It's 7:20 a.m. from the beautiful city of Dakar, Senegal. Welcome back to the live coverage of the 2023 presidential runoff elections in Liberia. We are coming to you live also on Voice of Liberia FM 104.1 in Monrovia, Voice of Liberia FM 89.7 in Kakata, and Voice of Liberia FM 90.7 Banga Bong County. Well, live feeds and images coming in shows that voters are already in line waiting for the exercise to commence. It's a very tense one, I must say. Two heavyweight figure on the line. Who's going to win? Who's going to take the day? Who's going to rule Liberia for the next 5 years? Is it incumbent President George Weah or the opposition leader Joseph Boakai? Well, the people will decide. Now, talking about the decision ahead of the first round polls and this runoff today, Liberians, became more mindful of the impact of their choice by engaging in spirited debate, town hall meetings, and community forums to weigh the merits of each candidate. We saw that playing out in the course and the gap between after October 10 until today. Well, now the initial round of the voting saw a high turnout of 1.949 million voters, constituting 78.86% of the 2.471 million registered voters. Now, the electoral chairman, Madam Lansana, said last month at the press conference in Monrovia, describing it as unprecedented in Liberia's modern democratic election history. She also noted that the election attracted some 10,000 additional regional and international observers accredited by NEC. Well, this election has a far-reaching implication, I must say, shaping Liberia's trajectory and influencing political dynamics beyond its borders. I tell you. Well, let's cross over now to Monrovia as we have Darlington Popper on standby. Darlington, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Imod, and good morning to the rest of the team members.
Yes, Darlington, November 14 is finally here. What is the mood like over there in Monrovia?
It's actually quiet for now. I'm currently posted at the University of Liberia's campus, polling place 3 with precinct code 3063, where we have people here in queue waiting waiting for the process to actually begin by 8 o'clock this morning, where the electoral workers will be able to announce the opening of polling for people to go there and vote. I came here this morning by 6 o'clock and I saw people in queue. But comparing that to the last time when we were here, where the turnout for now is actually not impressive for now, because we see a few people just seated waiting for electoral workers to come. And we also see the presence of Elections Commission officials. They are here. Temporary voter registration staff are all here. We see people from the political parties representation, independent candidates too. We also see a group of people here. I think they are from some concerned group of Liberians. They also go accreditation to observe the process. So we see observers all here. So we see most of them here.
Very well. Now that the margin has been drawn to two candidates, Darlington, what are the people saying about this?
Impressive. I spoke for a few people, about 4 persons for now, and what they have been able to tell me is that some are voting for the future of Liberia, and according to them, they want to see a better country in the next 6 years to come. So we've been talking to some of them here, and they want to see a better Liberia. They want to see a Liberia united. And honestly, most of those we spoke with here before concluding the interview, they are actually concerned about the division among Liberians, especially so with the level of conflicts that have risen among Liberians here doing coming up to the electoral process today. We see people are divided based on political lines. So most of those we interview here this morning, their quest is to see a united Liberia immediately after the conduct of today's runoff election. What they said to me, if it is anything to go by, most of the voters here are actually concerned about the peace of the country. They are concerned about the unity of Liberians. They want to see a united Liberia, fostering towards peace and development. So most of them here, that is what I actually been able to gather from them.
Well, Darlington, I know we have talked about this in between the first round and now, and that is the issue of invalid votes. We saw that amounting to over 100,000, after the first round of the election. What is the NEC saying about this, and how are they going to address it?
Like yesterday, the chairperson of the National Elections Commission, Madame Deveata Brown-Lassana, she said they have been able to institute measures to ensure that they reduce the number of invalid votes that was observed during the first round of voting. And she also talked about NEC accelerating voter education awareness in communities, unlike the previous elections or the October 10 process. So she said they have increased that also. And she also talked about the issues, once you have about 20 presidential candidates on a single ballot paper. The images will be sometimes smaller for people to see. And she also talked about the number of representative candidates and senatorial candidates. So, like the last election, each voters were having access to 3 ballot papers. You have to look between 20 presidential candidates to select your choice. You also have to look between a huge number of senatorial candidates. But unlike the last election, for this election, you wouldn't have 2 presidents participating in the process in the runoff. So she hoped that the level of voter invalid votes will actually be reduced drastically. That's what she said. She hoped that the level of invalid vote will actually be reduced, because the voter will only be having a choice to choose between 2 presidents, 2 candidates. So she hoped that with the level of awareness that have been able to go out, with the level of community engagement in her work, engaging with civil society actors, increasing awareness in communities, she knows that voters are actually educated now on how to mark their ballot papers.
Well, as part of the assessment of the elections, we heard CSOs in Liberia and election observers, pointing to the fact that there was a delay in the counting process, which of course you and I saw because we had the live coverage that day. Will this issue also be addressed by NEC, where the population, say registered voters of less than, say, a little bit above 2 million, and then we're seeing the counting taking as long as 1 week? Are they going to address this? Are we going to see a very quick, counting processes?
For now, what we know is that what the chairperson of the commission, Madam Deveata Brown-Lassana, said, if it is anything to go back, she said the commission is actually operating on a constitutional mandate. So it means that immediately after the voting process today, she said that tomorrow we will start to get preliminary results that will be coming up from the various polling centers across the country. And she said the Elections Commission will do its work in line with the Constitution provision, and there will not be any haste to maybe certify a particular candidate or a particular politician or maybe individual. So what she said is that they will conduct the election, and she assured Liberians that on Wednesday the preliminary results will start coming in. When the entire counting process will end, she don't know, or when the entire final vote, the results will be announced to the public. She said she don't know, but immediately once the tally and the coalition process is completed, she will be able to release the report to Liberians, and they will decide on that note.
Darlington, just before I let you go, please confirm the time when the polling stations will open and when will it end, and what are the details in it for those who will be on the line at the...
I'm not getting you. Abdullah is in the back. I'm not hearing you, sir.
Can you hear me now? Okay, so what I'm saying is
Yes, I'm getting you.
confirm to us what time the polling stations will open for voting, and what time will it end, and what happens to those who will still find themselves in the queue at the closing of polling stations?
Officially, voting process will start 8 o'clock this morning, and it will run up until 6 p.m. Immediately 6 p.m., the process will come to an end. And what the Elections Commission chairperson said also is that once you are in the queue before 6 o'clock, you'll be allowed to enter the polling center to vote. But if you are not in the queue by 6 o'clock, the process will end. Immediately after the process ends, they will have to do the reconciliation process where they have to put the ballot papers down from the ballot boxes. They have to check it, they conduct everything, and then immediately after the counting process, provisional results or preliminary results will be posted on the wall for the public to see, and the two candidates will also have copy of that tally sheet that will be presented to them. So it is that result that will be presented and submitted to the chairperson of the commission right after the National Tally Center have done their work. It will be posted, and then she will officially make the pronouncement. So the process starts 8 o'clock today, and it will also end at 6 o'clock.
Darlington, I would really love to, continue this conversation with you because there are still other issues I wanted us to clear. But we will get back to you in the course of the coverage so we can talk about that and perhaps get the feel of the people there on ground. Darlington, thank you so much for your time. We'll get back to you again. Well, that was Arlington Popper in Monrovia. Let's cross over now to Grand Bassa County, where Abraham Parker is on standby to bring us the happening there. Don't forget that this is the second round of the elections, and it's a big one for Liberia because the entire international community and every one of us here in West Africa is watching. Abraham, good morning.
Good morning, and it's great to be live this morning.
Yes, indeed. How is the feeling and the mood like in Grand Bassa, where you are?
Well, the moon, the assessment is just the same, and it tells the Liberians are ready when it comes to the electoral process. So yes, I'm at one of the centers. Yes, so the assessment is in the faces of those who turned out here to vote this morning. So as we reported on October 10th, yes, of course, the assessment is still alive, and I think it is their constitutional responsibility, and that's why they've so asserted.
So what is the turnout like? I mean, the few people you've seen, are they really excited about the second round? Because we had reported in the first, after the October 10 elections, that people were, really tired of, how they would stay on the queue for a long time before being attended to. What is the mood of the people like there in terms of this?
Well, so normally where you have a general elections, you're talking about representative, senator, and that of the presidency, it comes with too many different responsibilities. So you want to see people turning out, representative candidates, encouraging people to get on the line earlier. So this one is just a presidential runoff. So the way in which it was back then, it would not be like today. So this morning, the turnout from here is not just too encouraging at one of the centers, because the last time we visited here during the general elections or the first round of the election, at this hour, you could see people at almost all of the areas. But this area this morning, it is not as impressive as it was.
Abraham, why is that so?
Yes, so normally during election, you see representative candidates, the senatorial candidates truck people to the various regions. And when these guys are out of the system, you will not have those who did not win the election bringing back those who they trucked into maybe the county or the district. So you will have permanent residents, meaning those who are residents of the area will be the one exercising their rights. So normally those who were trucked will not have the means of coming back, because some of them sometimes are being taken from different counties to another. So this is a runoff election. So the representative candidates are not participating. The senatorial candidates are not participating. So you will have that type of low turnout.
Well, Abraham, during the first round, lack of proper awareness, electoral campaign awareness per se, or electoral education, according to reports by civil society organizations in Liberia, was very poor, and that increased the number of invalid votes, which we saw over 100,000. Do you think this case will play out today?
Well, I think it was one of the things that the National Elections Commission even admitted when it comes to the civil voter education. Much wasn't done by the National Elections Commission to have this process occurs. And I think the launch was just done in one area, and after that, they did not go beyond. They said they were incapacitated when it comes to the voter awareness, sensitizing the minds of people on how to vote. They acknowledged that, and since then, they decided to do some awareness. But it was interesting to note that as well, as part of that, the political parties that are into this runoff took upon themselves to see how best they can send some of their supporters in the field, educating Liberians on how to vote in the process. So I think this process is crucial. So political parties themselves joined the National Elections Commission along with other civil society organizations in making sure that they give the rightful awareness, educating citizens on how to vote.
Well, I will be happy if I can hear a voice of a voter there, but we will come back to you on that. Do you have any voter around there? Let's feel the pulse of the voter to know what they wanted today and who likely and what likely they will be voting for.
Yes, certainly. So one of the voters, I'm in conversation with one of the voters now. I think let me just engage in quickly.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to West Africa Democracy Radio. What is your name?
I'm Moses B. Down.
Okay. So today you're here to vote. How is the process like?
We have come on our various polling places, but auto present the polling have not started, and we are still waiting on because it is 7:37, and the polling will start at 8. So we're still waiting to do our voting.
What have you observed since you came here?
I haven't observed anything okay yet. I know that the polling staff are still setting up the place. Before then, maybe they can open a station or to 8 o'clock, then we start our voting. But nothing yet back for now.
How do you feel being a resident of this community and also a Liberian citizen voting?
I'm very happy because I know that today is the day for us to exercise our right. And that right is my right for me to exercise it today. This is why I'm here at this time. I'm very happy that, yes, indeed, every election I should make sure to cast my ballot.
What was your own individual observation during the first round or the general elections now that we have a runoff going on?
There was a whole lot of problems that we encountered. One was the issue of the ballot box was very long, and the process of the queue controller, and then even in the voting room, we only had one area and so on, and you had 3 ballot boxes that were 3 ballot paper. I even gave the voter hard time for them to identify who to vote for. And we as residents of the place, we had some other observations that we met up with the polling staff and they filed a resolution to it, and the process went on very smoothly.
Do you think that will not be repeated?
No, I know that will not be repeated because
what can you say to Liberians? There are people listening to you across the world as well.
I don't want any other Liberian to feel that, because the other person have won or they won and so on. I just want every one of us to go at our polling places and vote. Don't sit home. Go and exercise your right. Don't sit and say, the people go and make decision on their own. Go and cast your ballot so that you can be part of the history making.
Is there any other question that you would love to ask?
Well, I think he has said it all. Thank you so much for talking to us. I mean, he has said it all. I mean, don't sit at home and say, don't sit at home and complain. Go out there and exercise your rights. Go out there and, select a candidate that will change the face of Liberia. Well, Abraham, thank you so much for joining us. We will get back to you in the course of the broadcast.
Thank you.
Indeed, that was Abraham Parker in Grand Bassa County there, bringing us up to speed with the latest development. And of course, we had one of the voters there expressing his views. Let's cross over now to Montserrat County, where Grace Williams Joshua is on standby. Grace, good morning to you.
Good morning, studio, and good morning from where I am. I'm a son of the Helene Memorial Institute here in district number 6, Montserrat County, to be precise.
Well, so what is the mood of the people like? This is the second round. Are we going to see that crowd we saw in the first round?
Well, from what I noticed this morning when I got here, the place is not that packed as anticipated in the first round. The turnout is a little bit low, but people are coming in their number. And we noticed that the most attendance today are the older folks for now at this time.
So why are we seeing the older folks coming out? Do you think the younger folks are not really interested? I mean, what do you think?
I think they are waiting for the afternoon or the evening hour because they have the perception that in the morning the place is usually crowded and they don't want to come and stand on long queue. So we are hoping that they will turn up in the afternoon to be able to vote. But there are a few of them, though, that came up this morning as well.
What is the security situation like? And I would also see, if you can talk to one or two persons there, let's also sample their views and hear from them. What will they be voting for? Is it the person or the qualities of the person or the achievement of the person? But first, let's start with the security updates.
Okay. For now, what I noticed from where I stand, the security are all posted. We have police officer here and our observer, international observer, local observers. They are all here posted. And this place is secure. There's no tension. Everything is very calm as it is. But most of them are waiting for the process to start by 8 o'clock.
Well, do you have any voter there with you that we can talk to and feel their pulse here?
Yeah, there's a elderly man I met, and I would like you to talk to.
Okay.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
Yeah, I see you are out here to vote. How are you this morning?
I'm good.
What is your expectation coming here this morning? What do you expect from here today?
Okay, coming here today, I expect free and fair elections.
So now that you're here, when do you think you will be leaving this place?
So as I look at the crowd today, it's not that huge, so I'm sure I will be from here very soon.
So what can you say to people out there that say, I will not come to vote at all today, I will not vote?
I will tell them that they should go and vote. Yeah.
Indeed. Well,
Okay,
great.
let me get-
Grace, I do have a question for him, please.
Okay, ask the question. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Hello, sir. Good morning, and thank you for talking to Ross. I would like to know, what are you voting for? Are you voting for the person? Are you voting for the person's performance? Are you voting for the qualities of the person? What is it that you want to vote for today?
I'm voting for the future of my children.
Indeed. Thank you so much for talking to us. That was a straight answer. Well, Grace, thank you so much for joining us. We will get back to you in the course of the broadcast and for more update from your end.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, studio before here, let's get this lady seated here. Good morning.
Okay. Go ahead, Grace.
How are you? Okay. What is your name? My name is Michelle Wawele. When did you come up here this morning? What time? I think I got here before 7. So what is your situation right now? Right now, as I see things, so everything will be okay. And all will go to our phone and so. Why are you really voting when most people are at home and saying they will not come to vote? Why are you voting? A group will come and exercise our right. We are exercising our right for our development, for our country to be better. What can you say to people out there that don't want to come and cast their vote? They should please go and cast their vote. Let us exercise our right as a citizen, our country to be better. Thank you. Yeah, that was an interview from a lady here on the line as well.
Okay.
So you get some more interview or?
All right, Grace, I think we can do with that. We will get back to you in the course of the broadcast. Thank you so much, Grace Williams Joshua there in Montserrat County. Well, you heard two people she spoke with there. The first elderly person said that he is voting for the next generation voting for his children. He is voting for things to be better in the future. And of course, you had the other one voting for a change. So, who is that person that will bring in the change? Is it the incumbent President George Weah or the heavyweight Joseph Boakai? All right, let's look at the economy of Liberia in retrospect. Now, the economy has struggled for 2 decades to firmly be resilient and service its needs. This quest remains hindered majorly because of the impact of the first 1989 to 1996 and the second 1999 to 2003 Liberian civil wars. With only 3.2 billion US dollars of gross domestic product GDP as of 2019, the Liberian economy is categorized as underdeveloped. Well, Francis Boniface brings us more details.
In 1979, Liberia's economy was among the more developed and fastest growing in sub-Saharan Africa, but after the 1980 coup d'etat, it declined. The civil war destroyed much of the country's economy and infrastructure, especially the infrastructure in and around the nation's capital, Monrovia. Today, Liberia is one of the poorest and least developed countries in the world, according to the United Nations. GDP growth fell to an estimated 4.0% in 2022 from 5.0% in 2021, driven largely by growth in mining and construction on the supply side and increased infrastructure spending on the demand side. Growth was slower due to the impact of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, including higher commodity prices and tight fiscal space. Inflation eased from 7.9% in 2021 to 7.4% in 2022 on a steady decline in domestic food prices. The fiscal deficit widened to an estimated 4.8% of GDP in 2022 from 2.4% in 2021 due to higher spending on infrastructure and wages. As of October 2022, public debt had increased to 54.6% of GDP from 53.2% in 2021, reflecting increased borrowing. The current account deficit narrowed to 17.4% of GDP in 2022 from 17.7% in 2021, thanks to a smaller trade deficit as export receipts increased, driven by gold exports. The exchange rate appreciated 4.6% against the US dollar, from 159.34 Liberian dollars per US dollar in December 2021 to 152.38 in December 22 due to higher net remittances and export receipts. The financial sector remained sound with a capital adequacy ratio of 34.03% in September 2022, compared with 10% target. Although the non-performing loans ratio remained high at 23.43%, compared with 10% target, the share of people living below the international poverty line, which is $2.15 a day, remains high at 35.4%. Unemployment was an estimated 4.1% in 2021. Meanwhile, GDP is projected to grow 4.3% in 2023 and 4.8% in 2024, driven by expansion in mining services and agriculture. Inflation is projected to edge to 8.2% due to election-related speculation in 2023, but will ease to 6.5% in 2024 due to a stable exchange rate and calm after the election. The ease of doing business in Liberia averaged 162.92 from 2008 until 2019, reaching an all-time high of 179.00 in 2015 and a record low of 144.00 in 2013. Citizens revealed that there are many reasons for those failures, and without addressing them, the economy of the country will not be improved. They mentioned some of the reasons for small business failure in Liberia as poor planning, not controlling cash flow, poor infrastructure, and road network due to lack of government support. According to research, the hospitality industry, restaurant, and office supplies businesses thrive the most in the country. The Liberian dollar, which includes coins and banknotes, has been the official currency of the Republic of Liberia since 1943 and only issued by the central bank. The deteriorating economic realities have forced the vast majority of Liberians to rely on subsistence farming to survive as the country's climate provides good conditions for agriculture. Liberia's exports consist largely of raw goods such as rubber and iron ore, among others.
That was Francis Boniface recapping the Liberian economy. Well, over the past years, Liberia has made significant strides in improving its healthcare system, yet hindered by various shades of challenges that demand both state attention and collective efforts. Among them, accessibility and affordability of health services by the Liberian population, many of whom live below the poverty line. Liberia's incumbent George Weah is said to have led transformative agenda on the pursuit of universal health coverage despite the odds. Well, Smodomaro has more details on this.
One major success of the health sector is its handling of the Ebola outbreak in 2014 to 2016 under the former president Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. But as remarkable as the effort, so was the scale of loss suffered. The viral disease killed no fewer than 4,800 people. The aftermath of that crisis would later form the base for a modern healthcare system, including the construction of new hospitals and clinics, renovation of existing facilities, and training of healthcare workers. The goal was to efficiently respond to future health crises. Now capacitated, Liberia was again tested for its resilience during the COVID-19 pandemic. Interestingly, health workers and the citizens pulled through because of the strengthened system. A collaboration, the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention Country Director Dr. Rachelo Ido applauds.
Liberia has done a lot to ensure that people have an opportunity to hear the right messages with respect to what keeps them safe. But Liberia is building on the health investments that were made before the pandemic. When Liberia found its way to overcome the Ebola epidemic from 2014 to 2016, they put into place the infrastructure that's needed to identify health threats as early as possible and fight them where they find them. The U.S. CDC has invested specifically on ensuring that we have public health disease investigators available in every county, every district, who can locally respond to things that are happening among the community members.
But where does Liberia's Chief Medical Officer, who doubles as the Deputy Health Minister, Dr. Francis Kate, stand in the country's story, linking efforts made by George Weah's government in the health sector?
Our health system, the gains we've made, and it is important. In healthcare system, it's like jumping a high bar. Whenever you educate the people, they expect more. The more service you provide to them, the better they want. There are things we do better here than anywhere else. Who provide the key primary health services in this country? Nurses and PAs. And so these are the kind of things that we've done.
Also, the country has made considerable advances in reducing maternal and child mortality rates through child health programs, training of midwives, and providing essential supplies. However, a recent report by UNICEF revealed at least 1,000 maternal deaths for every 100,000 births annually in Liberia. Cecilia Flomo is registrar of the Liberian Board for Nursing and Midwifery.
There are prerequisites for becoming a nursing student, a midwifery student, because these people are the ones that are in majority with caring for our population. They are the most closest to the patient. It's very beneficial that we handle their production. The new process that was approved by the Liberian Board for Nursing and Midwifery is called the Students Indexing, and it's just the student track. Because nursing and midwifery is not a field where you go to play. We protect the public. We go further with that.
Well, this is the point. You hear about the challenges. The lack of well-equipped hospitals and clinics in rural Liberia hampers the delivery of quality healthcare services, resulting in disparities in access to healthcare. Here are some concerned Liberians.
The patient buys everything. They say it's free, you go to the CCP, pay 1,500 for a cesarean session. But they say it's free. Go back by the settlement outside there. Go back, you buy everything. The patient buys beside the bed. And maybe that one small food with the patient, feed the patient. I wonder if they can give it to their children. That amount of food for their children to be healthy. You see the food the sick patient eat in the hospital, you feel sorry for them. GFP is the worst.
People sick all around and nothing they're doing by it. The nurses they can take the drugs they carry to their houses then. They open drugs too. The people carry medicine after 2 days, no drugs.
There's also no doubt that the shortage of health professionals, inadequate training institutions, and low salary earnings are challenges the health sector faces. Some health workers, including technical persons, share their views on the matter.
There are a lot of things going on within the health system. I was sick Ebola time because while I was treating patients, I have passion for the job. I was in my community, growing community. Wherever I see sick person lying by the road or in the homes and they call me, I will go there and say, Deputy, come. The other person is sick, the other person is going this way. Nobody wants to treat them because they're afraid of Ebola. Working in the system or sector, a lot of lapses.
Lack of staff quarters and transportation is a clear example. Ambulance service. We want the government to renovate and improve dilapidated facilities across the country, and to improve on staff quarters as well as transportation, to equip health facilities with diagnostic equipment, effective and efficient ambulance service to the public.
Some people have been here with this opportunity given me as a chief driver for the Ministry of Health. I will kindly appeal to the President. The President should help make this salary for us, because this is very sad that we, at the end of the month, we take $2,500, $2,690 that cannot even sustain our home.
As the struggle to revamp the country's health sector persists, incumbent George Weah has made efforts to improve the situation through the construction of the 14th Military Hospital, the Emirate Hospital, and other community clinics around the country, training of the nurses and doctors, among others. Seeking re-election, Weah says health practitioners play an essential role in health delivery.
How will help to enhance the health sector? Again, I want to commend you. I know the history because I live here with you. I know how dedicated you people are. I know how much you work in a little environment. We have an opportunity now for all of our places. Make sure that we have our fair share. Train more nurses, more doctors. And it's important for our people. When you don't visit this area, you think it's all military.
Health experts have reiterated investment in infrastructure, bolstering the workforce, improving accessibility and strengthening data management as quick solutions to challenges faced by Liberia's health sector.
Usman Amaro reporting there. Well, that's it on this first edition of the live coverage of the 2023 presidential runoff elections in Liberia, coming to you live on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening to us there via Voice of Liberia FM in Monrovia, in Kakata, and of course in Banga Bon County. We will return at 10 a.m. For the continuation of this live coverage. But for now, we will leave the studio to hand over to our French service, who will take off from here. I am Imo Edet, and many thanks to my colleagues at the background. The leader there, Abdullah Hassan, Christian Mukudi, and Maudo Diouf. See you at 10 a.m.